What's up, guys? This is Bradley alongside with Zach here. Ravens pull out the victory tonight against the Bengals 41-38 on Thursday Night Football. Just an insane game. I mean, both the games against the Bengals this year. Oh, excuse me. I guess I got the score wrong. 35-34. I said the schedule of the first Bengals game. Ravens hold on with the stop on the 2-point conversion there after the Bengals driving down the field and Ravens scoring touchdowns on, multiple drives in a row at the end of that one. Zach, what are your thoughts coming out of this crazy one once again?
Yeah, it's like all bad thoughts on the defense and all amazing thoughts on the offense for really sticking through. And even giving the defense a lot of credit for sticking through to the very end. I mean, 2-point conversion try and their offense firing on every single cylinder we've never known imaginable, and they don't get it. Sure, it looked like there were some controversial calls with the O-line and with the defensive line and defensive holdings. But either way, there was a lot of no calls the entire game, and Ravens winning this one is just ridiculous. Ridiculous, man.
Both games against the Bengals this year, like we were talking about it in our group chat, the first half in this one, it just felt like a loss all the way. And just like the perseverance at halftime, it was 14-7. And then Bengals score after half, and the Ravens are down 21-7. And it just kind of felt, but then you realize Ravens are down 14 with still 12:30 left in the third quarter. Got plenty of time. I look back to the Chase Brown fumble, the strip from Marlon Humphrey really has a big moment in this one that Ravens probably don't win the game without that. And like how many times did the Ravens score 3 touchdown drives in the fourth quarter, 4 touchdown drives in the second half? We felt sort of like that first half, it was just not the Ravens offense that we're used to. And in the second half, they just really turned it on.
Like, whenever I texted you guys, I was like, yeah, if we don't get 7 out the gate here, or just, points in general out the gate of the second half, I think it's over. And what happens? They do not get points, and Bengals one play points. So I'm sitting there like, all right, okay, what are we gonna do for next week? What's the thoughts? How do we get out of this game? Even a little bit healthy at that point. Prayers up to Kyle Hamilton. That was a big deal. I hope he's okay. It didn't look very serious, but I think it still might knock him out for even next week versus Pittsburgh, which would suck. But yeah, the second half was just Jamar Chase's. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about Jamar Chase. I dislike him just because, he is on the Bengals and he always tortures us. But I cannot believe how good him and Joe Burrow are, specifically against the Ravens now. Like, it's just unbelievable. And we got some comments here. Freaking quarterback stat line from a wide receiver is ridiculous, man. It looks like, 2018 Lamar Jackson stat line on like a really good week. I mean, I don't know. It's all over the place. I just can't believe they won 21-7. That fumble happens, and that's the first thing that has gone the Ravens' way since the touchdown drive. And that's enough to spark a team, especially a team of this magnitude that has this much talent and knows they can beat a team like this.
And also after that fumble, I believe the Lamar scramble when he's 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and then ballet dancing down the side. So 2 plays in this game, the Lamar run down to the 1 and the Tylan Wallace touchdown, which shout out to Tylan Wallace.
Yeah, that was awesome.
The punt return against the Rams and now this. Both of those plays, how did they stay in bounds? I thought there was no way Tylan Wallace was in bounds for that play. And same with Lamar's run. I mean, and we saw with Tylan Wallace at Oklahoma State, just yards after catch was his specialty, and he showed that tonight.
That play I see happen, and he scores, and everyone's celebrating, and I'm sitting there like, no celebration yet.
Yeah.
There's no way that's a touchdown,
Yeah.
right? Like, we didn't see the replay for a while. The replay until it shows him actually like parallel with the sideline. I still wasn't that sold on it.
Yeah.
I still thought that he might have gotten out, and I think Al Michaels perfectly called it. He was like, I think it was toe on the green,
Heel
and
up.
heel was up. Like
Yeah.
it was that close. It was ridiculous. That was, oh my gosh, just a stupid play. One of many stupid plays of the entire night.
Yeah. So there was talks about Jamar Chase, 11 for 264, 3 touchdowns. I mean, we can get into the defense later, but or even just right now. I mean, giving up that deep touchdown right after the Ravens score and the 2-point.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just horrendous. That was definitely
really
Marcus Williams on that one, who was having a good game, was having a good 2 games in a row besides that, but man, the defense just giving up, 5 touchdowns once again, just I don't know. What are your, thoughts? Any players stick out to you on the defensive side of the ball?
Oh, Matabike was
Yes.
Timothy tonight. Like, someone got up and possessed that man tonight.
3 sacks.
I was hyped to see that. Like that, talk about a player going into it where if you need someone to play good, it's him. It's Matabike, and especially with how slow of a start he's had to the year, right? Statistics wise. We see him get double teamed and all as fans and watchers every week, but like the stats hadn't been there. He hasn't been this demon up front messing up guys. And tonight they put him everywhere. I saw him a lot on the edge. I was impressed with that. Getting him the one-on-one stuff was awesome. And then he handled business interior wise. I honestly think the pass rush might have been a little motivated tonight. Like they just played a great game. I thought they, Burrow had some time in the pocket, but like it was no less than normal. He still got hit just about every single play in the second half if he threw it. And I was so proud of them. That's especially after, all this talk about trading for a pass rusher and all the fans revolting after not getting one, going out and playing that great of a game against a little more banged up of a Bengals offensive line, but nonetheless, a dominant, great game that we needed. Are you muted, Brad?
There's going to be a lot of talk about that final drive, giving up that final drive. And Multack's comment here, I really don't think they got the first down.
It was weird, wasn't it? Like the whole, I was talking with my dad, texting with him, and him getting to the line and the ball's not across, or getting to the marker and the ball's not across.
Yeah.
As he's going down, the knee goes down and he kind of barely gets it over, right? That little motion as he's falling gets it. And I'm like, I really don't know if he got it.
I don't think
I'm on
he
the same
got it.
boat. I'm on the same boat with you guys. I'm extremely impressed that he caught that. I think Marlon was all over him. But even then, at the very last quarter of a second, just turn a little bit more with the ball and get credited for it is impressive.
I don't understand. I saw this on a podcast earlier this week. How does the NFL not get camera shots right down the line more often? Like it's always like 2 yards behind or something like that. And like at least on the goal line, how is there not just a camera on the goal line? You know what I mean? To see.
Yeah.
But anyway, I really feel like he didn't get that. Zach, I just saw. So the Ravens had 99 rushing yards tonight, and they're 1 game short.
It was 99. I didn't know
They're
it was
1
99.
game short of the streak.
No.
So that's
That
2
sucks.
times in a row they missed out on the streak, and they would have.
And I'll tell you this: that last touchdown, 2nd and goal, minute 50 left, and you don't run the ball. I'm confused.
Oh yeah,
I don't understand.
Okay, 2nd and goal. I was very.
You've got to make them waste a timeout, right?
Yes.
You have to. So I'm getting pissed at the TV. I mean, why aren't you running the ball? Derek had all of a sudden gotten a groove. Lamar had gotten a groove. So now I bet the Bengals are on their heels, and you're stopping the clock, giving them basically a timeout. What are you doing? I don't know if that's just Harbaugh losing his head or or just the aggressiveness of wanting 7 because you know that the Bengals can turn around and get it in one freaking home run.
Yeah, I guess it was just wanting the touchdown, just trying to come up with the best play possible to get in the end zone. Lamar Jackson, 25 for 33, 290 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, 141 passer rating. I mean, what's the NFL record for best passer rating in a season? Because
He's about
might
to smash it.
he might be, yeah. His
Yeah.
passer rating is better than it was in his 2019 MVP season. He's now at what, 24 touchdowns, 2 interceptions on the year, a 24-2 touchdown interception ratio. I mean, that is insanity.
It sure looks like it's going to be his year again. If the
What are your
Bengals were
thoughts
any,
on, yeah,
if the
just
Bengals
like
were any
Lamar?
better, I think Burrow's right there in that conversation with how much he's throwing and getting the touchdowns. Lamar tonight was just, well, you saw like the struggles of the first half completely flip on their head. Sure, it took a few of those, like, the fumble, the Tylan Wallace touchdown. It takes those. That's what it takes to get a team going again and instill a confidence. I was also thinking about that dropped pick from Taylor Britt that Lamar threw on that
Yeah,
scramble drill.
yeah.
Like, that play being incomplete is what
Massive.
won us the game, I think. Like, that's,
Yeah, it did.
there's many of those plays, but I mean, that would have shot the confidence. That would have gave them the ball at the 40 with 5 minutes left. Like, the way we had looked for that entire time to turn and do that would have been very, very sad. And I also think that Lamar usually, whenever he's scrambling like that, doesn't tend to make mistakes whenever he's throwing outside of the pocket. Like, he would never force a ball in that situation. So I'm assuming there was something that the secondary didn't mess with them, or maybe just a different. Still, I don't know. He's being at MV3 level.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
can't
it's
believe
really
it.
looking like he might be on his way to a third MVP. Just another insane performance. And like you said, the first half was not going the way the Ravens wanted it to. We have a comment about the defensive side of things from Turk to Beast. I personally don't blame this on the defense. I give accountability to the secondary. Secondary got burnt pretty much every play. And we talked about this. Pass rush seemed solid today, at least not horrendous, sort of what it had looked like. I would put blame on the linebackers as well in pass coverage. A lot of plays over the middle of the field today. Some Roquan's fault, some not Roquan's fault. Stevens is the most interesting corner to evaluate in NFL history. You can't blame him for not getting that pick in the end zone. I mean, a wide receiver's not catching that either. Like, his foot just didn't hit the ground because Gesicki's leg was in the way. But, like, that's a great play. I'm very interested. The Bengals 2-point conversion before they called the timeout, they had a look. Chase Stevens one-on-one. No one else on that side of the field. They didn't take
Did that
it.
not end up happening in the actual play?
It was still one-on-one, but there was another player
Okay.
on the left side, so
Yeah,
it
yeah.
wasn't. I was
Still the matchup.
interested
Yeah.
that they didn't take that matchup.
Yeah, I'm just puzzled by Brandon Stevens. I want to root for him so bad. I want to be on his side. It's just like, that
He's
pick,
not a bad player.
right? It sucks. Like, you can't pay him, maybe this offseason as a top tier corner. Like, that's the other thing. You can't pay him like he is. You shouldn't. Some team out there probably will, given his track record with being able to stick with whoever, it's just not make the final play. I think Jamar really burnt whoever he was across from. So I'm not sure I would put blame on Brandon Stevens. I'm really disappointed with the last touchdown play was horrendous. I'm not sure how you have 2 guys guarding him and still give it up. I think Nate Wiggins just had a rookie mistake. and decided that he still needed to help out with the running back, who was obviously covered. But I think throwing Nate Wiggins into that situation was probably not our smartest thing. If that's Marlin, if that's maybe even Stevens, it could have ended up being a pick. Like I think it's the fact that Wiggins got put in that situation where he has to make up his mind and try to help both. It's just a rookie and also just a bad situation. So I don't know. I was so mad about that. It felt so obvious they were going to look towards one human being because why wouldn't you? Yeah.
That was a perfect throw.
Mm-hmm.
And just like, obviously, credit to Burrow. It's hard to. I'd say he's like one of the rivalry quarterbacks that I respect the most, maybe in like the history of being an NFL fan. Uh, just like always does the right thing and is a great player. And we know the Bengals do not do the best sort of that they can in terms of helping him and his situation. They haven't paid Higgins, they haven't paid Chase.
Yeah.
And just every time the Ravens and Bengals play, obviously, a point to mention: Lamar is now 6-1 against Joe Burrow and 10-1 against the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
That 6-1 against Joe Burrow. Burrow plays very, very well every single game.
Yeah.
I don't really know how the Ravens pull it out every single time.
I want to talk about. I'm so sorry to switch on you. I do want to talk about Burrow playing ridiculous against us. Turk in here has a few comments. Like, I'm not sure any of the plays were really one guy specific. I guess you can point out that Williams one not staying deep, but I don't think any of the corners really had an issue. Or not an issue. They all had an issue. All the second had an issue. All the linebackers had an issue. So I don't know. I don't think it was necessarily isolation with 101s with Jamar Chase. I don't think any of us or any of the defense wanted that, so they weren't doing it. It was just the other guys making plays. Chase Brown, 9 catches. Tanner freaking Hudson, 6 catches. Like, other guys were made to beat us. It's just we were also getting beaten by Jamar Chase. It was the whole thing. They really tried to make it. Everyone else, you can beat us, but not Jamar. But it still ended up being that way.
Yeah, and you mentioned Matt BK having a great game. Another guy, Marlon Humphrey. I would say sort of the guys in my mind, Matt BK, Humphrey, and Ardarius Washington.
Mm-hmm.
3 of them, all 3 played very, very well. By the way, Harbaugh said that Kyle Hamilton has a ankle sprain, so will not be a season ender for him, but could miss maybe a game or two. We'll see. But Matt BK, Humphrey, and Ardarius Washington. Washington had so many plays. I believe he was in coverage on the 2-point conversion. He got there on a couple blitzes. The 3 of those guys, Humphrey with the strip, and just I didn't see Humphrey get beat really at all today. I saw Stevens and Wiggins obviously getting beat a lot, but man, Humphrey, this might be Humphrey's best season since 2019 or 2020.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. I think another guy that was awesome was Ronnie Stanley. He'd gotten messed up by Trey Hendrickson first time they met. But this time he was exactly what Multag's saying. He was his freaking father tonight. He was playing amazing. Really, besides the miscommunication with RPOs, I don't understand that with all the illegal man downfield. And
yeah, that's terrible.
And also the random holdings from Falele. O-line played pretty good. You take away that random stuff, and that was a pretty good game for them. They gave Lamar plenty of time. There's still a lot of pressure, but still, Lamar's able to evade it if you just give him enough time. So I was happy with that. But yeah, I thought it was extremely impressive what Ronnie was able to do on Trey.
Yeah, and keeping it sort of on the offensive line side of things, we have a comment from Wrigley.
Here you go.
Really, the issue in the first half, it wasn't so much, and you saw John Harbaugh talk about this after halftime with Kaylee Hartung. He said we need to get yards on first down of our possessions because every single first down there'd be a holding penalty or an illegal man downfield or a false start. I believe they had 5 possessions in the first half, and like 3 or 4 of them there's a penalty on the first play of the possession, and they obviously got that cleaned up with 4 touchdown drives in the second half. But penalties have been a massive issue for the Ravens all year.
Yeah, and on the last drive defensively, you have issues with penalties. And also I don't remember where they were at, maybe in the red zone at that point. 1st and 10 turns to 1st and 15 as you're trying to score. And I thought we were shot there too. I thought they were going to kick themselves again and somehow figure it out. But still, it feels like every week it's a penalties thing. It's us beating ourselves. I don't know how many we had in the end. If anyone has that stat as well, that'd be awesome. But I don't know. It really costed us a lot of the game. It wasn't necessarily big play stuff. It was just the little tacky
11
things that got to get out. Yeah, I mean that's still too many. It was
Bengals
still
at
just
3.
tacky stuff that you can't do. I don't know why it still happens week after week. Like it just feels like at one point it would stop. Like at some point. I just don't know how a disciplined, really together team is playing like that. I don't understand. Like they seem like they would hold each other accountable. It seems like someone would go to another guy and tell them what they're doing wrong or doing right. So it feels
Yeah.
like why wouldn't that be a part of that conversation too?
Yeah, 11 penalties for 81 yards, and the refs missed some too. So, yeah, I don't know. And obviously some of them maybe weren't penalties. I disagreed with the pass interference on Stevens in the end zone. I felt like that was
Yeah, that
equally
was weird.
Chase and Stevens kind of grabbing each other. Um, you mentioned the 1st and 15 that the Ravens had. Lamar ended up hitting Andrews for 5 yards, and then I wanted to mention Bateman
Mm-hmm.
because Lamar hit Bateman there, and then Bateman again, and then Bateman for the touchdown. And Rashad Bateman ended with 6 catches for 54 yards and that touchdown. He was so clutch today in terms of 3rd down conversions and red zone catches. What did Zay Flowers have today? He didn't. Yeah, Zay
4
Flowers.
catches, 34.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. Bateman was sort of the hero on the offensive side of the ball today, in my opinion. I mean, how many plays did he make on 3rd downs or 2nd and long, picking up
Clutch.
the first?
Yeah, and the fact that Zay was kind of taken out of the game a little bit meant that Mark Andrews and Rashad got to have big games. As in clutch. It was clutch factor stuff. It was 3rd downs. It was Andrews casually getting open on his crossers and stuff like that. Like it was typical Ravens passing game football minus the home runs that Zay had usually provided. I mean, everyone else got going. It means that our offense is capable of still beating you up, even if you take out, the number one threat to do it. It's impressive. Even, I'm also surprised Deontay didn't get as many looks tonight. Maybe he just wasn't in as much.
He slipped on that one 3rd down
Yeah.
where he was open.
I still think that at some point we'll see him be much more a part of it, but I don't know. I was still everyone else showed up. Another 100-yard receiver. I mean, everyone else did their part.
Yeah, and another guy to mention is Andrews, who it was just weird at the beginning of the year. I mean, he had that car accident and the injury last year. And I mean, this is a classic Andrews game, 6 for 68, 1 touchdown. His route on that touchdown, did you notice that? I can't remember. It might have been Logan Wilson covering him. Andrews basically is going down the seam and he fakes to the sideline and cuts up.
Mm-hmm.
And the linebacker covering him just got completely lost. And Lamar,
That was a perfect pass. Yeah.
Lamar's touch passes today. I mean, the one to Bateman with the follow through.
He
So that's
threw a floater. Yeah, that's so fire.
2
That was
weeks in a
awesome,
row
man.
with the follow through touchdown pass.
Mm-hmm.
The one to Andrews was great. The floater to Aguilar last week was great. I mean, the touch on those passes. I don't know if I see another quarterback throwing balls like that in the NFL.
Yeah, it shows that their chemistry is as high as we've ever seen, and it also means that when Lamar gets to build that chemistry with all these guys, the potential is sky high. Once someone like Deontay Johnson gets acclimated to the offense, that's another guy where that would be making big plays. But right now we're seeing it with Rashad. We're seeing it all the time with Mark Andrews. That was day one. But also Zay Flowers, everyone in the scramble drill just having chance. Even Deontay had that chance on the scramble drill and slipped up. But everyone offensively was clicking. I want to talk about Derrick Henry a little too. People were kind of downplaying his game. 16 carries, 68 yards. That's all you can really ask for. They were still trying to take him out of the game big time. 8 guys in the box. Like, they still were trying stuff to take him out, and we still flourished offensively. It's really the same stat lines as usual without the casual home run that we'd been getting used to. So 68 yards minus, or that 68 yards without the home run, to me looks pretty good. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, he's missing that 82-yard run.
Right. Yeah. The
With 4 minutes
50-yard
left in the
freaking
fourth
crack
quarter.
off. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And like he still averaged, like you mentioned, it feels like maybe not a great game. He averaged over 4 yards a carry. I mean, it's insane how the offense is able to put these drives together. It was 4 touchdown drives in a row in the second half. I mean, there's just not much you can do to overcome that if you're Cincinnati. And combining that with the Marlon Humphrey strip, that
Yeah.
sort of gets the momentum back. I mean,
and that's the whole thing. I think personally, what Cincinnati did with the 2-point conversion, I think that's an obvious decision. I think you have to do that. You can't give the ball back to Lamar with 38 seconds and 2 timeouts left because their offense just scored 4 freaking drives in a row. So they're going to get down there. It's just if you want a chance, Justin Tucker making it. So Zach Taylor, I definitely tip my cap to him. I thought he played or coached a good game. It's just if you're one play short in the end, that's what's going to decide it. And even overtime, right? 4 straight scoring drives going into overtime. You don't want to let them have the ball and then go right down the field and score it. It's going to happen just like how that Derrick Henry run happened last time. One freaking play and he's gone. It's stuff like that where you cannot let the Ravens get the ball again on offense, and you try to end it there. That's exactly the decision I would go with. I'm not sure anyone is debating that, but I just wanted to back them up because they're, again, a play away from winning the game.
yeah, I'd say the thought process there is, and like you said, Ravens still would have had like 30 seconds and 1 or 2 timeouts. I think 2 timeouts. So very well could have ended up winning the game anyway, even down by 1. But you sort of look at it as probably whoever wins the coin toss in overtime is going to win. So are your chances of getting a 2-point conversion over 50% or under 50%? So Zach Taylor figured they have over a 50% chance comparing to the coin toss overtime of getting that 2-point. And did there's always this debate of you should do what the other team doesn't want you to do. Did you want them to go for 2 or did you want them to kick the extra point?
I definitely wanted them to kick the extra point. I thought
Really?
that Lamar would easily get us down the field. At least a shot for Tucker to
Well, that's how I
try
felt
one.
too. I kind of wanted them to go for 2 because you can get the stop. And at the same time, I was like, even down by 1, I feel like we might end up getting this game-winning
Yeah,
field
we're
goal
kind of on the
anyway.
same side. Yeah, that's funny. That's
So,
funny.
yeah, that's kind of I kind of wanted them to go for 2. Another, if we're talking about Zach Taylor, Bengals were 2 for 4 on 4th down today. Obviously, that's like solid, but kind of questionable
Right.
play calls the 2 times that they didn't get it.
Definitely.
They don't have a great under center run game. They don't really have a great run game at all, especially with Joe Mixon and Houston now. I just questioned that one time it was either the 3rd or 4th quarter. They have a 3rd and 2, throw it deep, 4th and 2, throw it deep.
Yeah.
That was really the Humphrey strip, and that were really the 2 moments this game
Flipped.
where I
Yeah,
feel like
like
you're kind of questioning Zach Taylor.
personally, if it's 3rd and 2 and you're gonna freaking go for it on 4th down, I thought Chase Brown was playing a pretty good game running wise.
Yeah, you
I
normally
think
would run the
even then
ball.
you give him a chance. I mean, I thought even on 4th and 2, if you wanted to give him a chance, that's not out of the question either. He's been getting hard-earned runs. Even there's a few times tonight where he was at least got contact in the backfield and still got plays, still got positive yards. Like, he played a great game. 13 carries, I don't think they're that happy with. I don't know. I thought that was such a weird topic, like especially that play, the 3rd and 2 and then 4th and 2 to both go deep. That really kicked themselves. But I'm surprised they went away from Chase Brown helping them out as much as they did. Even with 9 catches for 52 yards, along with his 13 carries. You gave him the touches tonight. He was productive. Why wouldn't you keep going to him a little bit more if that's one of the areas you're getting help from besides Jamar?
Yeah, and there's a lot of talk about Zach Taylor coming from Bengals fans within the past couple years, and it's always situations like that that they bring up, and it can be confusing at times, especially when the opposing team is sort of glad about the decisions he made. To get into some team stats here, Bengals really dominated time of possession in the first half. Ended up being kind of even. Bengals 31 minutes, Ravens 28.
Wow.
Bengals had 27 first downs, Ravens had 20. Third down efficiency, pretty similar. Bengals 8 for 16, Ravens 7 for 12. So Ravens actually a little better in that department. Bengals outgained the Ravens by 70 yards. Bengals had 470 yards of offense. Ravens had 389 yards of offense. Yards per play, very similar. It feels so similar to the first game of the year where all the stats are the same. It's just
like a play away, right?
I would say who had the ball last, but it actually wasn't the case because the Bengals didn't get the 2-point conversion. But it just sort of both matchups this year were just very similar.
And to go to like just looking at team stats again, Ravens have all these penalties, but tonight they took care of the ball so well. Besides that, dropped interception, 0 turnovers compared to the 1 fumble that Cincinnati had might have been the deciding factor of the game. That's like a big deal.
And that's what we talk about in terms of winning games in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to know what the win percentage of our teams that win the turnover battle in a playoff game. I mean, it's got to be pretty high. You know
And
what
think
I mean?
think about this. The last game versus the Bengals, week 5, turning point being the Marlin interception, Burrow, right? This game, it's the same thing. But tonight, Burrow played literally perfect. So the difference is on a different teammate fumbling it. Like that's all it takes. It's insane. The penalties also is just insane. I keep looking at that.
Yeah.
Penalties is just ridiculous.
And you bring up a good point with the whole perfect thing. Remember Joe Burrow before that game saying he would have to play perfect for them to
I'm
win?
gonna have to play perfect
before the week 5 game, and it's very similar this time. Maybe their offense had to play perfect and it didn't with the Chase Brown fumble. That just proves how good the Ravens offense is. 7 points at halftime, finished with 35. Also massive in this one that the Ravens were able to get that 2-point conversion after the Tucker miss because that ended up making a big difference in this one.
Yeah.
With that Lamar run, which I believe Lamar checked to that play on the 2-point conversion. So shout out to him for that. Ravens run defense continues to play very well, just allowed 49 rushing yards, 3.1 yards per carry for the Bengals offense. Are there any other players that caught your eye on either side?
Well, I'm going to give another team stat here. 3 sacks for the Bengals. Only 7 yards lost, right? Not that big of a deal. 3 sacks. Yeah. Ravens had none. And sometimes that's the cost of some penalties. In this case, the 2 Falele holdings might have, but like even then, I'm not totally sure. The stuff like the Ronnie false start or the RPOs where they have an illegal man downfield, that's stuff that can be fixed. It's just it's a new thing every week, right? Like there might be some offsides in the first one or false starts in the first one or illegal formations. I don't know. It's been all over the place every single game. This time being offensively more isn't that crazy to me. It's not that what's the good word? It's not that scary to me, really. Like I feel like that's such an easier thing to take care of rather than, defensive holding, defensive pass interference, big stuff like that. Even the questionable one with Jamar and Stevens, it's a toss-up. It can go either way. And it again, penalties can be cleaned up and then it turns into a better game. But that sacks, no turnovers, you kind of have to live with it. If it's also playing perfect in the turnover margin, playing perfect in keeping Lamar safe and plenty of time, I'm okay with it. I think we live with it.
What were your thoughts on Todd Monken in the first half? I sort of felt like Lamar didn't have the ball in his hands in terms of it was either a run or like a screen a lot. I felt like there wasn't much drop back play action, let
Mm.
Lamar sort of do his work in the first half. Maybe that comes into play when you have 1st and 15, 1st and 20 over and over again. You're probably throwing screens. But I felt like the play calling was a little conservative in the first half, and then second half kind of just and honestly, in the second half, the first two drives for the Ravens were punts. It's not like they came out firing away.
Yeah.
Um, so I felt like Monken made some adjustments there, sort of halfway through the third quarter.
Mm-hmm. And also, we mentioned it as well. First down or second down, getting a penalty in the first half really screws up the entire mojo. So if you're backed up, I think Monken's kind of plan for it was trying to get a screen and maybe break off, 11, 10 yards to make up for it, and just never ended up working. So maybe it was just a trial and error thing from him, and it was a really, really bad error. But I'm still extremely impressed with the turnaround of it in the end, still finishing the game and putting up 35 points after having 7 in the first half. I think 28's I read 28's the most in the second half of any NFL team this year. So if you're able to do something like
Wow.
that and make up for it, fine by me.
Yeah, if you were to tell me the Ravens put up 28 points in the second half at halftime, I would have been
Whew.
very surprised
Yeah.
the way that it was looking.
And also, like, I was laughing pretty hard as just a fan. I didn't bet on it or anything. But the over under was what? 52 and a half. So the freaking half ends 14-7, and I was like, wow, this game kind of blows. Like, it's not it's a classic Thursday night football thing, no one's scoring, and it ends up being a freaking shootout again. I think I mentioned it in the preview. I'm like, dude, don't be a shootout. I don't want to get like the stress level super high.
Yeah.
And so I had people texting me like, here's your shootout, or like, here's your stress for the entire month just in one game. It's some Ravens football for sure.
Yeah, I have my friends, like, spamming my phone that whole second half, and I'm just not responding to I just have 18 unresponse texts from, like, one person talking about, like, the
What do you think?
defense choking and stuff. I'm just like, I'm
Yeah,
not responding
I'm
to you
sure
right.
all of these people watching had it too. Like, we're all freaking
Yeah.
a part of it. Where if you just know that someone's a Ravens fan, it's probably going to end in the most dramatic way possible for
You know
no reason.
you know that there's a meme where it's, like it's 2 pictures, and it's, like, on my birthday, and it's the message notification with 2, and then it's, like, when my favorite team loses, and there's a message notification with, like, 85 texts.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yep, exactly.
That's sort of what it feels like sometimes.
Yeah, and
Um,
and also Thursday Night Football kind of being, a letdown in the past where some teams just don't like it, period, and
yeah,
fans can enjoy it, but it's never really been good games. And tonight they really got their money's worth, I guess. I don't know.
yeah, and Ravens will get the mini bye after this one, so
Mhm.
that'll be helpful. We'll see what's up with Kyle Hamilton. I think maybe misses a couple weeks. I don't think it'll be a IR type of situation. Oh, your question from Moltac. Okay.
Good question, Moltac. Good
Purple
question.
I
That's what he
low
is.
key I liked the Purple Rising.
More than blackout? No way. No way. No way. I am definitely
I think
blackout over it
okay, this is
for
what I'll
sure.
say.
For
The
sure.
vibe and energy of Blackout is superior,
Hmm.
but if we're talking about uniforms, the Purple Rising, I think, is my favorite uniform I've
Really?
seen the Ravens wear.
Wow.
It looked so much better on the field than I thought it was going to.
Hmm.
Does anyone
I,
else have any other thoughts on the
yeah, I would love to hear everyone else too. Like, I was. I like it as just a mix-up. I think you can have it, twice a year for maybe prime time or even once a year for prime time.
Yeah.
But dude, Blackout Superior. Come on, y'all. Come on. Come on.
That's what I'm
Like,
saying. Like the vibe of Blackout.
even just, people talking about the aura of Derrick Henry, the all black. Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
so funny, dude.
yeah.
That's so funny. It's a whole different conversation. Oh, here you go. I like Purple Rising more, but it's very close. All right. All right. I respect it. I respect if you like it more. It's definitely a fun kind of thing to have the purple helmets. Just oh yeah, twice a year. Yeah, but yeah, I totally agree, y'all. Blackout is just
I
undefeated.
think Blackout and Purple Rising should both be once a year, just to like
Hmm.
not oversaturate it.
Make it ceremony. Well, it looks like because of this year being two of the best NFL games of the entire year, I think we have a pretty good chance of playing the Bengals on primetime once, if not twice, next year. So
Yeah,
maybe we see another Purple Rising
probably.
against them or another Blackout against them.
And it's just, I mean, we've said it so many times, but I can't believe how crazy both the games were this year.
I know.
And obviously, I'm not wishing the Bengals won, but imagine how Joe Burrow feels. I mean, his stats today 34 for 56. So, I mean, a lot of attempts, but 428 passing yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And this time didn't make that crucial mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's true.
still can't, yeah, Multac. I feel like we never lose in Blackout. I feel like we never lose in Blackout or Color Rush either.
Bring the Blackout for the playoffs or something. Like, make it mean
Yeah,
more. Just get everyone else fired up. Need that
yeah,
energy.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm on your side with Burrow. I am lost for words about him.
It's
I there's nothing that you can say is a flaw in his game. The ability to constantly, I think Herb Street kept saying it, but constantly get hit every single freaking pass and still just right back up, next play, still deliver it again. Like these deep bombs, giving him a chance to pass. Like it really is going to be like that until one of these defenses gets good, I guess.
yeah,
And I'm more surprised that they can have games where sure we have the worst passing defense in the league. Sure we have the worst. But it's talented enough guys where it probably makes it more difficult still to do it, to still beat up on them each time. When they go against a Raiders and they put up 41, or the game before that with the Eagles and they kind of crap their pants. I'm not sure if it's a consistency thing for him in the offense or if it's maybe just what defenses can do. Like maybe the Eagles, just have those guys in pass rush and have those guys in the secondary to make more plays, but or also just have the discipline to not allow the 70-yard touchdown wide open, stuff like that. So I'm not sure.
very,
I can't pinpoint why they would be 4-6, right?
yeah.
When you see them play this good against us.
Very interesting quote from Marlon Humphrey just now from Jeff Zrebeck on Twitter. Marlon Humphrey called the defense the little brothers of the team. Jeff
Yikes.
said quite a statement from one of the leaders of a struggling unit. That's some
That is
accountability there.
yikes. Yeah, that's a whew. I don't
That's
know how
kind
I
of
feel
crazy to
about that.
hear.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if that's a motivating thing. There
I
was
think he
one
just,
time where Roquan was like visibly upset, yelling at someone
yeah,
else.
yeah. After the chase
Yeah, on those
on the
crossers where
drag.
him and
Yeah.
yeah, and he's the only one there. I mean, it's not like he can cover both. And of course, Bro wants to get it to Jamar Chase, so it happens. And wow, Little Brothers is
That's, I mean, you
well,
love to, like, that's something I like to see, you know?
that's true.
They know that they're not playing well. And Marlon Humphrey really he's gotten hate from the Ravens fan base because he has a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Every player in a professional sports setting has a podcast now. And
Yeah.
Marlon Humphrey and Hamilton have been the two guys that have just taken so much accountability this year. you saw Marlon Humphrey last week say, "Don't blame Zach Orr." He said something along the lines of, "Zach Orr shouldn't be taking the blame. It's been all the players' fault." He literally said that last week.
I saw that.
And now he's calling the defense the little brothers of the team. And you saw right after the Ravens hold the Bengals on the 2-point conversion, Zach Orr's just shaking his head walking down the sideline. He was not happy. So like
it's a real issue. I think it's not like we can sit here and say like Orr's got to go. You know, we're in week 10. I mean, it's too late for that. If you do something like that, what could happen? It could be worse, like with some guy that's just coming into it. I also had a random thought of, you know, being first in rushing defense and last in passing defense is not a fair trade. It's not. I would gladly be 20th in both rather than first and then 32nd.
I'd rather it be the opposite too.
Oh, for sure. Like first in running. Wow. I didn't think
like the best pass defense and the worst run defense. That'd be much better.
Oh yeah, because passing is just that important and creates that much more of explosive plays for sure. So just a ridiculous game. I'm glad Orr was seen pissed off even after you know that hype of a play too to win the game, and you're still upset. That shows a lot. It shows that he's holding himself at a very high level of accountability, and also seeing that Marlon saying that, calling, you know, that level of talented players, little brothers. I mean, wouldn't say it's not true. Also, it's just kind of it shows they're really trying to figure something out. Nothing's working. I don't know.
On the Bengals' final drive, it's not like they just easily got down the field, right? I mean, there was multiple.
It was ugly. It was an ugly way to get on the field. Yeah,
they had a 4th and 10 that we both agree didn't look like they got
really close.
I think if they called him short on the field, that it's not getting overturned. Because they said stands, they didn't say confirmed after reviewing, which means there wasn't indisputable video evidence. So they got to a 4th and 10. And then they got to another, a 3rd and 3. That's when they scored. They were holding up decently when they got inside the 10, but I don't know. It's just they'll get the Steelers next week, who the Steelers play the Commanders on Sunday. So, I mean, you give up 10 points to the Broncos, but Bo Nix missed a couple throws and say they got lucky a couple times. I mean, when they played the Bills, their defense played well, but that was before they had Amari Cooper. I really think it's just when there's a number one receiver combined with a great quarterback, it's just not good news for the Ravens defense. And the Bengals did not even have T. Higgins today.
Yeah.
It was just
could have been an equal amount of Raven killing, but it was all Jamar Chase. And I'm also, I'm interested to see how the Steelers play the Commanders.
Yeah.
Steelers are about as disciplined of a football team as you can find.
Yeah.
So playing them means that we're going to have to match that. And again, it means like the Steelers and they'll probably have Russell Wilson still starting, but like I don't know how that'll go if Pickens, decides to go off, or if at that point they'll have Mike Williams playing with him, so they'll throw some deep balls up to him. Who is guarding who for all of that?
Yeah.
But that would be an interesting one to watch because it's not like, no disrespect, it's not like Russell Wilson is on the level of all those guys. It's not like Pickens is necessarily on the level of all those guys. But they're both very, very talented NFL players that can definitely do that to our defense the way it's looking right now.
Yeah. Multac asked what our score predictions. I predicted the Ravens to win 34-24. I believe we were all in a similar area. I think Zach, you were like more close.
30-20 or 31-21.
I think you predicted like 31-28.
No, I had a little more. I had a bigger. I had him covering.
Brandon Dawson's was 31-28.
Maybe.
But yeah, I kind of thought the Ravens might win this one easily. Just without T. Higgins.
Yeah.
I just felt like there'd be.
That was a Pat McAfee show. Shout out to them. Chuck Pagano was on there saying like, if it's 5.5, if the line's 5.5, the Ravens will definitely cover that. But if T. Higgins plays, then they're definitely not. So like you see, there's multiple factors where it felt like T being out, Orlando Brown being out, felt like it would be going the Ravens' way. It's just you play that way in the first half. There's no way you're gonna play a
and
dominant
also
game.
I'll say this: the first half was the defense playing well and the offense playing poorly, and the second half was the offense playing well and the defense playing poorly. But obviously, you're going to remember more what the second half was. The first half really was the opposite. The defense played solid in
Pretty
the first
good.
half. Just, I don't know
how it flips that quick. Yeah.
I mean, you can say the same thing about the Bengals defense. First half to second half. I mean, they give up 7 points in the first half, 28 in the second half.
Yeah. Golly.
I don't know, man. But, yeah, Ravens will have this short bye, 3 days off. Yeah, 3 days off. Then they will travel to Pittsburgh, I believe. Because I think there's already been 2 home games in a row.
Yep. I think it's to Pittsburgh.
It'll be Steelers at 1 p.m. on CBS next Sunday. We'll see what Steelers do against the Commanders. That's a very exciting game.
Yeah, honestly, there's a bunch of good NFL games this week.
Yeah.
Like, I was pretty surprised. Feels like anyone could steal one.
Where do you see the Bengals going from here? They're sitting at 4-6.
Let's look at their schedule.
You think 10-7 gets you in? So they got to go, what, 6-1? Yeah.
Our schedule's also freaking ridiculous.
Yeah.
We play,
Bengals
5 guys over 500? But, yeah, Bengals,
at
Chargers, Steelers.
Versus Steelers, at Cowboys, at Titans, versus Browns, versus Broncos, at Steelers. They can only lose 1 game. So.
Yeah. They'll probably drop one of the Steelers. It's just if they take care of business against teams like the Chargers, who are playing actually pretty well, and
they got a shot.
Broncos, Cowboys maybe steal one, but yeah,
they definitely got a shot.
Definitely, I think they could sneak in as a 6 or 7 or something like that.
Yeah,
absolutely,
maybe
especially with how the whole
9-8 might get you in this year too.
Yeah, I was about to say, even with how the NFL standings are stacking up with such a big drop off between, I think there's 13 or 14 teams with 3 or less wins. I think it's 13.
Yeah.
I mean, that's ridiculous. Like,
yeah,
that's a lot of freaking teams, and that means the rest of them are all around the contending area.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a whole lot of 4-4s or 4-5s or 5-4s.
Yeah.
And everyone's trying to scrap for one of those wins. I think my final thought for that game was a lot of people saying that the Bengals need the signature win, that they haven't got one all year, and that game was their chance to get one, and steal one, and they really did have it. 21-7, ball in their hands.
They had both of them against the Ravens.
Yeah, it's that close.
You're 2 plays away from the Bengals and Ravens having the same record. No, you're 2 plays away from
having a better record, maybe.
The Bengals being 6-4, and the Ravens being what, 5-5?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yep.
I don't think I have any final thoughts. I would say my final thought would just be reiterating Lamar Jackson. I mean, like, he is just insane. His passer rating is like 120s, 130s, 140s every game now. Like a passer rating over 100 is considered elite. He's at 140. He's perfect. He's 0.2 away from perfect. Just game after game. 24-2 touchdown interception ratio.
Yeah. Yep. Could easily be worse. Let's not also.
Well, also the 2 interceptions were dropped.
Well, I'm also saying as much as the opposite, the defense also dropping some. The
Yeah, but I'm
Browns
saying
have
when
a
you
bunch of
factor
drops
both of them in
and
combined, it's probably
right. It kind of perfectly 24-2
yeah.
is perfect. Like I'll take that every day.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because you got
to
two
give both
interceptions.
sides credit.
Two interceptions were dropped by Andrews and Bateman. He's also thrown a couple that were dropped by the
That
defense.
definitely should have been picks. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of my. I just wanted to talk.
Yeah,
Lamar
24-2 is
insane.
ridiculous.
And he's now
It is
6-1 against Joe
ridiculous.
Burrow, and he's 10-1 against the Bengals.
Unreal.
So people talk about like Mahomes dominating Lamar. I think Mahomes is 5-1 against Lamar, and Lamar's 6-1 against Burrow. So it's really, I'd say that like the top four guys in no order, like Mahomes, Lamar, Burrow, Allen. I feel like it's like those four guys are really in a tier of their own.
I think
But
so.
yeah,
Even right now, if we're just talking about this season,
Lamar's in
it's probably Lamar and
Lamar and
Burrow.
Burrow. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, think about that. Like all the stats not going. Well, I guess Josh Allen's also been that good, but
Burrow's having the best year of his career.
and
Josh Allen's just had a
That's crazy.
couple iffy games. He had that one game where he was 9 for 30.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Jared Goff this year playing in mostly indoor stadiums, pretty
Yeah.
freaking good.
Yeah.
Maybe he's allowed to be around that conversation, but
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, is that you got anything else?
I don't think so. I think that was a
crazy
game to win. It's crazy.
Insane game. Ravens improved to what, 7-3?
Mm-hmm.
See what the Steelers do on Sunday in terms of the division race. Ravens win 35-34 in this one. Crazy game. Make sure to like the video, guys. Helps us out a lot. Check us out on Spotify if you'd like to as well. You can find the link on our channel or in the description of our videos. And subscribe if you're not already. See you guys later.